contest is scheduled for one fall. One fall. Introducing first.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Aaronix. Welcome back to British Kingdom Professional Wrestling. Not only on the British Kingdom Pro YouTube channel, but also on British Kingdom On Demand. We thank you for joining us here at a jam-packed hall in Thatcham. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an absolute banger of an opener for you. If you've been watching along on British Kingdom On Demand, you will know that this man is the heart and soul of professional wrestling. Not only in Great Britain, but particularly in the Southwest. Yes, indeed, we are about to be graced by the English Lion himself, Eddie Ryan. Rapturous ovation for one of England's finest professional wrestlers. For 20 years, Eddie Ryan has lit up the scene and has made it his own. The true professional's professional, the wrestler's wrestler, Eddie Ryan. A more likeable man in this business who are going to be hard to come by. Eddie Ryan has a mammoth task ahead of him this evening. Of course, last time out, we saw Eddie Ryan dispatch J.D. Knight on British Kingdom On Demand in Cardiff. But here in Thatcham, he has a very different proposition, albeit just as capable in his own right is Eddie Ryan's opponent this evening. Eddie Ryan, of course, in phenomenal shape. Certainly looks very happy to be here. Big thumbs up for the crew at ANDMedia. And of course, Eddie Ryan never found a fight that he wasn't capable of getting involved in. Truly, as I've mentioned, the professional's professional, Eddie Ryan, ready to go to war here today in Thatcham.
Are we ready? Yes! And introducing his opponent.
Well, if Eddie Ryan is the professional's professional, then his opponent is every bit the ultimate heavyweight and arguably the fastest rising heavyweight in professional wrestling today. You've already seen this man before on British Kingdom On Demand. Here comes the Hoss Father, Curt Atlas. True Welsh beef personified. An absolute tank of a man. Look at the size of that back, ladies and gentlemen. That is a mammoth individual, and Curt Atlas, in no short order, has risen up the ranks here at British Kingdom Pro Wrestling and has really signalled his intent on being the next big thing in Brit King Pro. And I tell you what, he could certainly go a long way to laying claim to being one of the next big things if he could knock off Eddie Ryan here this afternoon in Thatcham. Certainly seems to be in his usual foul mood. A man who really has no enjoyment unless he is destroying and suffocating opponents. And Curt Atlas, by the way, has all the skills to do so. Eddie Ryan will be no stranger to Curt Atlas.
Introducing first, in the red corner, he is the Hoss Father, Curt Atlas. And his opponent, in the blue corner, he is the English Lion, Eddie Ryan.
Well, here we go in no short order. We are going to have Eddie Ryan versus Curt Atlas.
Louder than that. Are you ready?
Eddie Ryan is definitely ready.
Fight!
Who knows? This is going to be a fight, ladies and gentlemen, against the Hoss Father himself, Curt Atlas. But both of these men, by the way, in supreme condition. And Curt Atlas in a particularly foul mood. No doubt extremely upset. Had a very, very close decision, losing out to Charlie Sterling on British Kingdom On Demand on his last venture here on Brit King Pro. Now backing Eddie Ryan up using that mammoth power to his advantage. Not a great deal of size or weight advantage over Eddie Ryan, who is very well put together, but you would definitely consider the Hossfather to have the power advantage, not to mention a real mean edge. Eddie Ryan is very much the ultimate sportsman-like competitor. Headlock applied by Eddie Ryan to Curt Atlas here. Atlas looking to shrug him off, sends him off the ropes, so a shoulder tackle incoming, and the Hossfather ain't moving for nothing here. Eddie Ryan looking to build up a head of steam to try and knock the Hossfather off of his feet. And it looks like nothing doing. Running into the proverbial brick wall is Eddie Ryan, and a kick to the midsection cuts him off. And I think Curt Atlas is done with games here. Looking to build up a head of steam, and a shoulder tackle sends Eddie Ryan crashing to the canvas. That's what Curt Atlas brings to the party. Power in spades, ladies and gentlemen. A real sharp right hand to the midsection there. Referee's discretion, of course. A closed fist. I mean, who's going to tell Curt Atlas what he can and can't do? You might have noticed there. Very crafty by Curt Atlas. Opening the hand after the closed fist. Maybe taking our referee for a little bit of a ride. Whatever he can do to gain an advantage over Eddie Ryan, I assure you, the Hossfather is going to take that opportunity. Irish whip out of the corner. Eddie Ryan now springs off the bottom rope beautifully, goes up and over, comes off the ropes himself, ducks the clothesline, ducks the back elbow attempt, and catches Curt Atlas flush with a beautiful flying crossbody. Thatcham is rabid, ladies and gentlemen. They have come out in their droves for this Sunday evening for this exceptional card of professional wrestling. Would you expect anything less from Brick King Pro? As Eddie Ryan is just lighting up Curt Atlas in the corner here. Right hands are plenty, and now looking to rain down with 10 of the best in the corner. Got up to 6 and gets sent crashing down. Nasty landing. Credit to Eddie Ryan, though, the conditioning on display early on in this matchup, able to absorb that punishment, gets a second one for his troubles. I don't think Curt Atlas is interested in any fun and games here. No pandering to the audience. Looking for a big right hand, but Eddie Ryan puts the brakes on, using his right foot as a weapon of sorts, and just gets dragged out of the corner, kicking and screaming, crashes down to the canvas once again, and this time I do believe Eddie Ryan's head clattered against the canvas, and that is a bad position to be in. And immediately the Hossfather goes to work, taking full advantage of a 5 count, choking Eddie Ryan on the second rope. The referee, understandably so, extremely intimidated by the sheer sight of Curt Atlas. Never mind the fact that he knows full well that he's intimidating the referee in his own right. And Eddie Ryan, after that awful disposition of being dragged off at the second rope, finds himself, in an extremely precarious position. Right hand once again to the midsection, and that is one very powerful man, and a headbutt as well. And Curt Atlas, gotta say, very impressed. When I first saw Curt Atlas, he was half the man he is now, and he was still impressive back then. Sends Eddie Ryan up and down with a big old scoop slam, and Curt Atlas looking very comfortable, very controlled. Seems to have learned a lot of lessons from wrestling Charlie Sterling last time out, and is applying them to this British icon. And says a lot about Curt Atlas that he seems to be sharing more and more ring time with some of the very, very best in the game. Stiff club to the back by Curt Atlas to Eddie Ryan. And it's worth pointing out that Curt Atlas really has owned his craft. He has become a seasoned competitor in his own right, regularly working every single opportunity he can get, traveling up and down the country, and also ready to go on tour, ladies and gentlemen, in North America. We'll be heading over to Canada in due course for a tour, and might be heading back there, or heading to Canada, should I say, with a tattoo of Eddie Ryan's boot across his face. Eddie Ryan is up to the top rope, double axe handle delivered. The Hossfather, though, not going down easy, still on his feet. Might be looking a little worse for wear, and a second one, and still Curt Atlas not off of his feet. Any mere mortal would have crashed to the canvas long ago, but not the Hossfather. Maybe a hat trick will get it done. Well, nothing doing apparently. Got caught flush, but able to break away. Beautiful shivering forearm strike to the chin by Eddie Ryan, and now looking to take Curt Atlas up in a suplex position. Curt Atlas putting the brakes on, looking to deliver one of his own. Eddie Ryan trying to counter the weight disposition there. Beautiful pop of the hips, and Curt Atlas delivers a beautiful suplex to Eddie Ryan. Pinning combination, got his hand across the chest. 2 count only, and dare I say, a little bit more body-on-body pressure there in the pinfall. Curt Atlas may have picked up a victory here against Eddie Ryan. We'll never know, but the match continues. And this crowd trying to will Eddie Ryan back into the fight, and understandably so. One of the more likeable wrestlers in all of our circuit, and also, arguably, one of the fan favourites here, and that is certainly not going to help Eddie Ryan's cause against Curt Atlas, who just stuffed his throat right across the hardest part of the ring. The edge of the ring, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. There's no give there whatsoever. Eddie Ryan certainly looks a little worse for wear. Now, Irish whip out of corner, delivered with aplomb, and a scoop slam again. And got to say, Curt Atlas is methodical in his dissection of Eddie Ryan, and garners a 2 count for that scoop slam. And a slight bit of frustration, I think, etched across the face, and it's certainly in the voice of Curt Atlas. Well, Curt Atlas says it's time to end this. It looks like he's just stalking Eddie Ryan, awaiting the finish. And now, big old bear hug applied. How about the power on display? Eddie Ryan, not exactly the smallest man you'll ever come across. I consider myself to be quite a heavyweight myself, ladies and gentlemen. I've stood next to Eddie Ryan. He's actually quite an impressive sight, even for someone of my size. So think about the strength that it takes to ground him like this, to pick him up in the air, and now to just suck the air out of the rib cage. All of that pressure and that body weight from those mammoth arms of Curt Atlas, slowly but surely trying to suck the life out of the English Lion. A true international matchup, I suppose, of course, with Curt Atlas being from Port Talbot in Wales, so it's Wales versus England, that old age rivalry that never seems to get old. And of course, Curt Atlas won't be the only Welsh wrestler you'll see here tonight. And there's still life in the English Lion. Referee was checking, but the arm didn't come down a 3rd time. And now Eddie Ryan somehow has to try and rally off of the energy of this charged Thatcham audience here. And a simple tap will certainly do the trick, disorientating Curt Atlas. A forearm strike, headlock applied. Atlas sends him off of the ropes. Eddie Ryan comes back. I think he was potentially looking for a scoop slam, but Eddie Ryan's able to escape, shoves him off the ropes. Beautiful standing drop kick by Eddie Ryan, delivered to Curt Atlas, and again just crashes into Atlas in the corner. Reverses the Irish whip, does the Hossfather. Oh, Eddie Ryan was trying to get the boot up, but had other plans. European uppercut, straight up to the 2nd rope with ease, and a beautiful flying Euro straight out of the 2nd rope corner. That is beautiful athleticism. Coming right off of Brett's rope is Eddie Ryan, and now looking to build some momentum here against the Hossfather, looking to maybe tune up the band for that super kick finish that has brought so many magnificent victories in the past. Well, block was put on, but beautiful forearm shiver and a gut wrench applied by Eddie Ryan to Curt Atlas. Pinfall. Is that going to be off? No, it's not. Curt Atlas gets his shoulder off of the canvas. Eddie Ryan certainly offloading the playbook here on Curt Atlas, but not able to get it done thus far. Both men have a lot more in their lockers, though, particularly Eddie Ryan, who no doubt will be looking to hit that super kick in due course, but he's got to wear down the Hossfather. Great power getting him on his shoulders, but unfortunately gave way. Maybe some pressure from the ribcage earlier, and now a big old deep 6 slam by Curt Atlas, delivered beautifully. Is that going to be enough? Oh wow, 2.9. Eddie Ryan just answered the 3 count, and he's still in the fight, and you can hear the frustration on Curt Atlas. He is absolutely beside himself. That is an ominous call from Curt Atlas, who I believe has just about had enough of the Eddie Ryan show here. Up on his shoulders, Eddie Ryan escapes out the back door though, sends him into the corner, looks to build up ahead of steam, runs right into a back elbow, and Eddie Ryan doing very well to draw him in here. And oh man, Curt Atlas wasn't going to get fooled twice, put the brakes on with that forearm shiver. Look how massive Uranagi, almost a modified Uranagi black hole slam, and Eddie Ryan just able to get his shoulder off of the canvas. Oh, well, Curt Atlas cannot believe that was not free, and frankly, I'm impressed as well. And Eddie Ryan it beggars belief. The amount of energy, the amount of heart and soul this man has for professional wrestling, his ability to stay in the fight is legendary on the British professional wrestling circuit. Curt Atlas is finding out firsthand just how difficult it is to dispatch the English Lion. Eddie Ryan certainly looks to be far worse for wear after that, just trying to drag himself up on the knee pads of Curt Atlas, and it could be game over in due course. Look out, fall away slam position, the world's strongest slam. Look at that. To pick up Eddie Ryan with such relative ease and just crash him down to the floor below, and I think a Vader bomb might very well be in the near future of the English Lion. Curt Atlas is prepped and ready. He's ready to squash Eddie Ryan like a bug, and thank God for Eddie Ryan's sake, he was able to roll out of the way. Look at, he's tuning up the band. Is he going to deliver a super kick on the chin? Forget about it. I believe Curt Atlas may very well be out cold. He is, and Eddie Ryan picks up the win. Absolutely a very game effort from the Hossfather, but chalk one up to the 20-year veteran, Eddie Ryan, with another dub, another tick in the win column. Eddie Ryan rolls on here at British Kingdom Pro.